The station was quiet in the middle of the night. Cold metal walls stood silent like sleeping giants. Lights blinked softly in the long hallways. Everything looked peaceful on the outside. But inside room 42, something was about to happen. He was a human named Ray, a young engineer from Earth. He worked in Sector 9, a quiet man with simple habits. He never liked too much noise. He enjoyed reading old Earth books. Every night he went to bed at the same time. Exactly at 2,200 hours. Tonight was no different, or at least that was what he thought. Ray was half asleep, wrapped in his thermal blanket. His breathing was slow, his eyes heavy. He was drifting into sleep, but then he heard a sound. It was soft at first, like a whisper across metal, then a click, a slow creak of the door. He opened his eyes just a little, not moving, not breathing too loudly. The door was open, only halfway. Just enough for a shadow to slip inside, and someone did it. Was Nara, his alien maid. She was from a distant planet called Lurian, her skin pale blue, her eyes silver like moonlight. She wore a simple station uniform, always clean, always quiet. She never entered his room without asking, never at night, never like this. But tonight, she did. Ray did not speak, he only watched. Still lying in bed, eyes barely open, his heart began to beat faster. Why was she here? Why now? Nara stepped forward slowly. Her steps were silent. She was holding a small tray. It looked like a cleaning tool, but she dropped it. It fell to the ground with a sharp sound. She didn't look at the tray. Her eyes were fixed on something else, not on Ray, not on the bed, but behind it, or maybe above. She froze, her lips moved, but no sound came out. Her hands began to shake, her silver eyes wide, full of something. Ray could not understand. Fear, not just fear, something deeper. She took one step back, then another. Ray sat up slowly. He could not stay still now. He spoke her name. Just one word, Nora. She turned her head, just a little, but did not speak. Then she looked back toward the ceiling, like she saw something there, something no one else could see. She whispered, almost too soft to hear, "They are watching." Ray blinked. Who is watching? She didn't answer. Her body began to glow, a soft blue light around her hands. She raised one hand toward Ray, as if to protect him or to warn him. He was not sure. Then all the lights in the room flickered. Once, twice, darkness for a full 3 seconds. The room went completely black. Ray could not see her. He could not see anything. Only hear his own heartbeat, loud and fast in his ears. Then the lights came back. Nara was standing still, her hands still raised. Her face pale. She said, "One more thing, you were gone." Ray looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "I was right here." But Nara shook her head. "No, not for me, not for 3 seconds. You vanished, you disappeared from this world." Ray felt cold now, not from the air, but from inside. Nara turned toward the hallway. She looked around like she expected something to follow. Then she said it again, "They are watching, from inside the walls, from inside you." Ray stood from the bed, walked toward her, but she stepped back. "Do not touch me," she said. "They do not like touch. They do not like change." Ray asked again, "Who are they? What did you see?" Nara's voice was lower now, almost like she was speaking to herself. "They are not from this galaxy, not from time, not from space. They are the Watchers, and they never leave once they choose you." Ray felt like he could not breathe. Then, without another word, Nara turned and walked away. She left the room, left the door open, left the silence behind. Ray stood alone in the quiet, still hearing her words, still feeling that strange air in the room. He looked up toward the ceiling, but saw nothing, still something deep inside him told him she was right. Something had changed, and it had started that night. When she entered Asterisk, she did not sleep that night. She just sat in the hallway, eyes wide, hands tight around her own arms, not moving, not speaking. Nara, the alien maid, was no longer calm, no longer quiet. Security cam footage showed her sitting like that for 5 hours, no food, no water, just fear. And deep inside room 42, Ray could not forget the look on her face, a face that had seen something, not just strange, but impossible. He thought maybe it was a glitch, maybe stress, maybe her species sometimes broke down like machines. But something inside him said, no, she had seen something real, and it had something to do with him. He could not stop thinking about what she Said you were gone. But he was right there, right on the bed. How could he be gone? Morning came, artificial lights brightened the hallway. Other station workers walked past her. Nobody asked, nobody saw, she was invisible to them. But not to him. Ray walked up slowly, careful, like she might break if he spoke too loud. She looked up at him, eyes full of light and shadow at the same time. She said one word. Watcher. Ray asked, what is that? What did you see? Nara walked past him into the room again, slowly. Step by step, like walking into a memory that hurt. She pointed toward the bed. Last night, I stood right there. You were sleeping. But something else was also there. It was not shaped like a body, more like a space that moved. Ray did not understand. She explained, like, when you look at fire, you see something, but you cannot hold it. That is what I saw, a shape that was not a shape moving around you, above you. Inside you. Ray asked again, what is a watcher? Nara looked at the ceiling. They are old, older than time. They live between seconds. They visit minds. They leave marks. Ray asked, why would they come here? Why me? Nara said nothing for a while. Then she pointed at his wrist, a small spot, a tiny scar. Ray had seen it before. He thought it was from an old injury, but now looking closer, it looked too clean, too perfect, like it was made on purpose. He touched it. It felt warm, too warm. Suddenly, he saw something, a flash. Just for 1 second, not a memory, not a dream. He saw Nara standing in a burning room, fire all around her, and something floating above her, watching. Ray stepped back, heart racing. What was that? He asked. Nara whispered, you saw it too. They are not done with you. She sat down on the floor again, tired, heavy, as if her body could not carry the weight of what she knew. Ray opened the security terminal. He had to see the footage from last night. He had to know. He clicked play. The screen showed him sleeping, everything normal. Then at timestamp, 2 hours, 13 minutes and 7 seconds, he vanished, gone from the bed. The camera kept recording. The bed was empty for 3 seconds. Then he was back, same position, same blanket, same breath, like nothing happened. Ray stared at the screen, cold sweat on his back. He whispered, where did I go? Nara stood again, walked toward the screen. She spoke softly, where they wanted you to go. He watched himself sleep on the screen. He was there, breathing, still alive. But in real time he was standing right there, fully awake, watching the footage, and yet the camera showed him still sleeping, like a second version of him, still dreaming, still unaware. Ray did not move, could not blink. The recording was live. It should show him standing by the bed, but it didn't. It showed him lying in bed, exactly like last night. He turned off the screen, heart racing, mouth dry. He walked to the mirror, stared at his face, same eyes, same hair, same skin, but something felt wrong. Something small, something silent, crawling inside his thoughts like a whisper. He blinked again, and saw himself blink on the screen. 1 second late, he looked again. No, that was not a reflection. That was something else, a version of him. That was not him. He stepped back, almost tripped over the chair, breath heavy. Now the scar on his wrist burned, not sharp but steady, like a reminder, like a signal. He rushed to find Nara. She was in the supply room, kneeling on the floor, drawing circles on the metal with her finger. Her hands moved slow, like she was drawing symbols she had drawn many times before he called her name. No answer. He came closer. She finally spoke. He's here now, Ray asked. Who is here? She looked up, eyes shining. The watcher. Ray asked again, what is it? What does it want? Nara stood slowly, pointed to her own chest. Not a name, not a thing, not a voice, a presence. Ray asked, does it want to hurt me? Nara shook her head. No, worse, it wants to become you. Ray stepped back. I am human. I have a mind, a soul. I am not something it can just take. Nara tilted her head. It does not take. It watches, it waits, and slowly you give it everything. He did not understand. She walked to the wall, placed her palm on the surface. The metal changed color, became black, like ink. Words appeared in her language. Ray could not read them, but he felt them. It said, you have already invited me in. Ray whispered how she said, every thought you fear, every dream you forget, every second you feel watched. That is how it enters, not with force, but with space, with silence, with time. Ray held his head, voices echoing. None of them clear. He remembered his dream last night. A hallway endless. A door at the end. Someone standing there, waiting. Did not open the door in the dream. But now he wished he had, because the dream felt more real than this room. More real than his hands. More real than Nara's voice. He asked her, "Can it be removed?" Nara looked down. "No, but you can become louder than it." Ray asked how. She said, "By knowing, by facing, by becoming more than just watched." He asked, "How do I begin?" She handed him something small. A strange device, cold, round, full of wires. She said, "Place this behind your head. Tonight when you sleep, you will see it. You will meet the Watcher." Ray took it, fingers shaking, and Nara said the final warning. "But do not speak its name, not in thought, not in dream, not even when it asks, because once you name it, it knows you are ready, and then it does not watch. It enters asterisk." He could not stop scratching his wrist. It felt hot, it felt alive, not like an itch, not like pain, like something under the skin. Moving, breathing, Ray stood in front of the mirror, lifted his sleeve, saw the scar. It had changed. What was once a thin white line was now a small circle, dark, almost metallic. He pressed it with his thumb. Something pulsed back, a slow beat. Not his own. He dropped the sleeve, stepped back from the mirror. This was not his body anymore. He rushed to Nara's room, banged on the metal door. No answer. The lights above him flickered. He felt the walls close in. Like something was listening. He whispered her name, Nara. The door slid open. She stood there, holding a box full of tools. She already knew. Without a word, she pulled him inside her. Room was not like the others. No bed, no lights, only symbols on the walls, strange floating shapes, and one machine in the center. Ray looked at her, asked one thing, "What is happening to me?" Nara placed the box on the floor, opened it slowly, pulled out a scanner, small, sharp, silent. She pointed to the chair. He sat. She touched the scanner to his wrist. The device beeped once, then glowed red. She looked at the screen, then at him. "You were marked. You were chosen." Ray asked for what. She walked to the wall, touched a hidden panel. It opened with a soft click. Inside, a file, paper, old, torn at the edges. She handed it to him. The file said one thing on the cover: Human Trial Unit 17. Ray opened it. Pages of reports, images, diagrams, photos of bodies, human, half-human, changed. Read the first line. Subject was unaware of implantation. Behavior remained normal for 12 months. He dropped the file, hands shaking. "I did not sign up for this. I did not agree." Nara nodded slowly. "But your planet did." Ray looked at her. "Earth signed a deal long before you were born, to allow Watcher study on a select few. You were one." Ray stood up. "Oh, I am an experiment." Nara looked him in the eye. "No. You are the result." Ray stepped back, tried to breathe. The scar on his wrist glowed, now dim, but steady. He felt it in his veins, not pain, not power, something else. A signal. Nara held out a thin wire, attached to a headband. "You must see what they placed inside you. Only then will you understand." Ray took the band, placed it around his head. The machine turned on lights, spun in slow circles. He closed his eyes and saw not a dream, not a memory. A room, white, endless, a table. He was lying there, eyes open, mouth silent, machines around him, hands without bodies, performing the implant. A voice in the corner, not loud, not sharp, just there. "He is ready." The vision ended. Ray gasped, pulled off the device. He looked at Nara, face pale, hands cold. "That was real. That happened." She nodded. "They do not lie. They only hide." He leaned against the wall, thought of his life, his family, his memories. Were they even real? Was any of it real? She walked up to him, placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are still you. But not only you." Ray looked down at the scar again, and this time he felt it whisper, not in words, but in something deeper. The change had begun. Asterisk. Ray looked at Nara, eyes wide, then asked, "If I am not the first, where are the others?" She looked at the wall and said, "Buried but not dead. Let me know when you're ready for Part 5. I'm not alone in my mind. That part will take the horror, inward voices, visions, and the terrifying realization that his thoughts are not his own anymore." He opened his eyes. The room looked normal, white ceiling, silver walls, same chair, same bed, but something felt off, too quiet, too still. He sat up, touched the floor with his feet. It was warm like skin. He looked at his hands. They were shaking, but he didn't feel afraid. He stood, walked to the door. It opened before he touched it. That never happened before he stepped into the hallway. Long, empty, dark. The lights did not work. The floor pulsed under his steps like a heartbeat. He called out, "Nara." No answer. He walked. For minutes or maybe hours, time didn't feel real anymore. Then a voice behind him, "That is not your name, Ray," turned fast. No one there. He spoke again. Who said that? No reply, only a whisper. Inside his head the voice said, "You gave me your name. Now I will give you mine." Ray stepped back, hands on his ears. But the voice stayed clear, soft, not angry, just patient. He screamed, "Wake up!" And suddenly, he did. Eyes open, real bed, real room, sweat on his face, breath fast. But the voice stayed. "Now you are awake, and I am still here." Ray looked around. No one. He touched his wrist. Still warm, still glowing. He stood, walked to Nara's room, knocked once. She opened the door, looked at him. Eyes already knowing. "You heard it." Ray nodded. "It spoke. It knew my name. It said it is part of me." Nara stepped aside. "Let him in." She pointed to the chair. He sat. She brought a small bowl, placed it on the floor. Inside, a black liquid shimmering. "Alive," she said. "Drink it." Ray paused. "What is it?" She answered, "Memory, but not yours." He took the bowl, held it close. No smell, no heat. He drank. The world shifted. He was back in the white room, but not on the table. He was watching, standing in the corner on the table. Another man, human, eyes open, not blinking. The watcher stood beside him, tall, thin, faceless. It placed a finger on the man's head, and the man began to speak, not in words but in thoughts. His whole life poured out. His fears, his hopes, his secrets. Ray watched, felt it all, like it was his own past. Then the man stopped breathing. Ray screamed enough, and the vision ended. He dropped the bowl back in Nara's room, sweating, shaking. He looked at her. "What did I see?" She spoke. "That was subject one." The first human to hear the voice. He did not survive. Ray looked down, then asked, "Why me? Why am I still alive?" Nara answered, "Because it does not want to destroy you. It wants to complete you." Ray stood, walked to the mirror, looked into his own eyes, and for 1 second, his reflection smiled. But he did know. Stepped back. "What is happening to me?" Nara came closer. "The more you listen, more it grows." The voice, the presence, it feeds on belief, on fear, on your story. Ray whispered, "Then I must end the story." She said nothing, because she knew it was already writing the next chapter. That night, as Ray closed his eyes, the voice spoke again, this time with his own voice. It said, "We are almost the same now." Asterisk. He was on the floor, eyes open. No breath, blood on the wall. A sound in his ears, like wind through metal. His body was still, too still. Nara stood over him, holding a small device, sharp, glowing red. She had stabbed him in the chest. Ray blinked. He was still alive, but the pain was real. So was the blood. So was her face. Not calm, not cold, but crying. She fell to her knees, hands shaking, mouth open. No words. Ray whispered when Nara looked at him, eyes full of regret and something else, something like fear. She said, "Because I had to." Ray tried to move, could not. His body was heavy, like something was holding him down. She placed a small patch on his wound. The bleeding stopped, not healed, but frozen. He could breathe again, just barely. She said again, "I had to." Ray looked at her, tried to speak, voice broken. "You said you were helping." Mesh nodded, tears falling. "I was. But I was also watching, waiting, following orders." Ray asked from who. She paused, then whispered, "From them." Ray closed his eyes. "The Watchers." Nara nodded. "Long before I met you, they gave me one task: to observe, to protect, and to end you if the change became too strong." Ray looked at his wrist, the scar now pulsing like a heartbeat. "You were sent to kill me." Nara looked away. "I was sent to choose, not kill. Only if your mind became theirs." Ray tried to sit up, failed, fell back against the floor. "Then why now?" she answered. "Because last night you spoke in your sleep, and the words were not yours." Ray felt cold, not from pain, but from truth. He asked, "What did I say?" Nara did not want to answer, but she did. "You said, 'Let me in. He is ready. I am him.'" Ray shook his head. "No, that was not." Mesh said, "It was not. But it came through your voice, through your mind." Ray closed his eyes. Again, then opened them. What now? Nara stood, wiped her tears, her hands still shaking. Now we fight it together, Ray laughed, weak, broken. You stabbed me. And now we fight together. She nodded yes, because if I wait any longer, it will take you fully, and I will lose. The only human I ever cared about. Ray looked up at her, the betrayal still burning, but the fear even stronger. He asked, can we still stop it? She paused, then said no, but we can change what it becomes. She walked to the wall, pressed her hand, a hidden panel opened inside, a weapon, old, strange, not human. She handed it to him. This can break the signal. But only from inside. Ray took it, felt it hum, like it knew him. He asked, what is it? She said, the only thing the Watchers fear, your will. Ray stood slowly, still weak, still bleeding, but alive and ready. He looked at her one last time and said, if you ever betray me again. She finished his sentence, I will not, because I betrayed them for you. Asterisk. The gate opened, but there was no light, no wind, no sound, only silence, pure, heavy, endless. Ray stepped through. Nara behind him. The metal behind them vanished now. They stood not in space, not in time, but somewhere between. The floor was not solid. The sky was not above. There were no walls. Only memories, memories that were not his faces. He had never seen. Speaking his name, he turned and saw children running across a burning field, laughing, calling to him. One girl stopped, stared at him, her face twisted, not in fear, in recognition. She said, welcome back. Ray felt his mind stretch like two many voices trying to fit into one thought. He dropped to his knees, screamed without sound, fell into the ground, but the ground became sky. The sky became water. The water became a mirror, and in that mirror he saw himself standing tall, wearing no suit, no scars, no pain, but his eyes were not human. They were black, endless, filled with stars. Behind him, a figure stepped forward. No feet, no form, only presence. Ray did not move, could not. The figure spoke, and the voice came from everywhere, not with sound, but with certainty. We did not choose you. You chose us. Ray answered in thought, what am I? Voice replied, you are the doorway. You are the bridge. You are what comes after. Ray asked, why me? The answer came slowly, with weight, with history. Because your kind was made for this. You were designed to host, to evolve, to return. Ray stood again, faced the being, faced himself. I am not yours. The being did not resist, only observed, then prove it a flash, and Ray was back on Earth, or something that looked like Earth. His childhood home, his mother calling from the kitchen, his dog running in the yard. He knew it was not real, but it felt real, too real. He walked inside, saw his younger self, saw Nara sitting at the table, smiling. You can stay here forever, the voice echoed. Again, no pain, no fear, only what you miss. Ray closed his eyes. The warmth felt good. The silence felt safe, but it was not truth. He opened his eyes, and it all burned. Flames rose. The house cracked. The walls screamed, and standing in the fire was the Watcher. Wearing his face, it smiled, then stepped into him. Ray gasped, eyes wide, breath returned. He was back in the void. Nara held him. Barely conscious herself, Ray looked at her. It tried to keep me, but I came back. She nodded, weak, almost fading now. Choose. Ray held the device, the weapon, the signal breaker. If he used it, the link would collapse. He would cut off the Watchers from every human, including himself, but he would never be the same. A part of him would die, maybe the part that was already them. He looked at the stars above. They blinked like eyes. He whispered, I am human. I choose myself, and pressed the device. The void shattered. The stars vanished. The noise came. Then silence, real silence. He opened his eyes on the floor of his room, back in the station. Alone, the scar on his wrist. Gone, no voice, no whispers, no Watchers, only breath and quiet. Nara was gone, or maybe never there. But on the screen, a message flashed. Signal terminated. Subject status stable. Ray leaned back, closed his eyes, and for the first time in a very long time he heard nothing.